horses, when you have the head with restricted, okay, so he can't, you know, when you guys are running up and jumping on him, he never has his head like this or this. He's like this. So as long as he just sees this much out the corner of his eye, he's learned to tolerate it. But if he was going to go and run up and he could turn his head more than he normally turns it, then he would have the same reaction. So you see a lot of people when they ride the horses, as long as they turn them like this, they're fine, but as soon as you start to bring the head around, they behave like they've never seen a rider on their back. Because basically they haven't. Because we made it from this big to this big. Does that make sense? Basically. And this is a very common, you know, this is a very common reaction for this guy. You know, I saw already, that's why I said to you, you can see his little weak around the head and stuff, is because normally when you just stood there like this, or like this, does that make sense? Cool. And this is basically what I'm trying to do, because if I don't get him to be with me, then it's a bit like in the classroom, he's there, but he doesn't really learn anything. He's just looking out the window, and at the end of the day when the bell rings, he goes out with the rest of the kids. But he didn't really get anything, and he usually sat at the back of the class, and like, does that make sense? So we're 100% sure now that we're doing stuff. Because if he reacts, it's not a bad thing that he reacts, because the natural thing for the horse, anything he don't understand, anything he's scared of, he's going to have a reaction. He had a reaction the first time he ever saw a human. He had a reaction when we put the holder on. He had a reaction when we put the saddle on. He had a reaction when we got up on it, blah, blah, blah. Everything he's had a reaction to his whole life. You know what I mean? So it doesn't mean it's a bad thing that he reacts. But you can see on him that the difference between if I do this and he goes towards it, he becomes confident. So most of the aggressive horses that I work are scared to death, dominant. Because when things go away from the horse, they start to get like this. Because the predator never goes away, the predator always goes directly. When it goes towards the horse, then they become fearful. Have you heard? So nearly 99.9% of all the aggressive horses I work, they're scared to death, dominant. And then when I take away the fear, the behavior goes away. Because obviously, them horses have been going like this to people, and we've gone, holy shit, holy shit, holy shit, and they get even more. Yeah, and it's the same thing with dogs. The dogs that bite you are the ones that are most scared and insecure. And they become dominant, and then people try to hold them, so they become even more dominant, and then they pick them up. They become even more dominant. You know what I mean? So we're just trying to take away as much of the misunderstanding as possible. Does that make sense?
But the signals you're using to get him to move away from you, is that the same for every person? Signal?
Yeah, I mean, this is the deal. You can do whatever you want, as long as you know what you're doing, you know when to push, you know when to stop, and you repeat the same thing over and over.
So it's more important to have the energy towards him.
And the Pacific word, because remember we've got this society now, and we need a language.
So using your voice, that's the word.
No, as in cue. So whatever I do. So if I do this, it means nothing. But if I do this, then he should move. So let's go, energy. Nothing. thought he was going to die, so now I know that he's starting to learn. So basically what I do is that when I give him the word, I make it harder for him to do what he thinks he should do, and I make it easier for him to do what I would like, because you saw that as soon as he did what I want, I went quiet. Does that make sense? Obviously in the beginning, he don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, basically, so you can see with this guy now, he misunderstands very, very quickly. So he thought, oh, we're going to go. And I said, no, we're not. But if I go like this, I would like to do that. There. And then if I come here, and I push your backside like that, I would like your backside to go over there like that. So I just taught him a new word. So now I start to get him his shoulders to go this way, and now I start to get his backside to go this way, because the only reason I move the horse's body is to change the emotions and the reaction. I don't do circles to do circles. I don't do back to back up. I do back to listen and be soft. If he does it, this is mechanical. If I say thank you, then what happens is that when he gets under pressure, it doesn't work. Does that make sense? Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go, hey, do you understand that singing is not the word, me moving is not the word, me touching you is not the word. Also, he's already started to learn now, when I back up from this angle, that he should come with me. If I come here, I would like his backside to move. You can see, he goes, oh my God, what am I going to do? Move your backside, move your backside, move your backside, stop your shoulders, move your backside, there. But if I walk like this, he shouldn't do anything. You see that difference? It's really black and white for it. Because if we don't have a language to talk to him, and we keep changing our words every single day, the horse does two things. Either he goes, or he goes, that's the deal. You can see on this guy straight away that he does this going backwards stuff because that's what he's been doing. It's cool. So basically all I'm doing here is that my last thought is the trailer. My first thought is, can you please move your feet when I would like them? What do you do, because he's got that habit of going back and going back and going back and going back. Good for you, buddy. Oh. You see the difference in his eye now? Because now he's emotionally with me and he's like, ooh, I wonder what that is. Okay, so I'm going to ask him here first. If he listens to me, that's all I have to do. And I'm going to stroke him to death with this and take away as much of the fear and misunderstanding, because most times what we tend to do is that because we have no plan and we get very emotional and we stop to think, the only time we ever use the stick is when we bite him, and then he just becomes scared of it. I'm going to stroke him more times than I bite him. You can see I stroke. The reason why he just gets braver, there, that was a good try. Good thing for you, buddy. So, you can see how much fear that he has in it. So obviously for the horse, it's easier for him to take the information in from this distance at the beginning, and then I'm going to say, hey, can you step forward for me? So I'm going to do this first, this second, that. As soon as he tries to step forward